we're going over tools to see what kind of tools we're going to be using to fix this on plastics. How many tools you guys think it's going to take? How many tools? We got this one to bevel out our plastics. We got this one to do little tiny areas, cleaning up our edges. Got this one, we could do a big old skim across here and scratch all this out. We can get it prepped. But guess what? Those things, they melt your plastic. They really do. You want to know what you need? Right here, you just need a piece of 36 grit. Yeah, you just got to bevel this out with by hand. You don't even need $1,000 worth of tools. You can see here, blop, 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 blop. We beveled this sucker out with our hand. It's ready for repair material on this side. So let's prep this side. We do have to go to the back side. I am teaching you to prep both sides, because once you have repair material in here, if you don't wait 24 hours and start sanding the back, it'll start loosening up. Your repair material needs, well, this one needs 24 hours to fully cure. Cure time, 24 hours. So normal primers and normal clears with hardeners in it, they take like 2 weeks to cure, and even up to 2 months. And that's why you have scratches like this. If you prime over this, if you go 2 months and let it fully cure with primers, come back and sand it, there's a good chance those will not pinch back, because you allowed yourself your 2 months, 2 weeks to 2 months to fully cure, depending on your product. So let's bevel this out. Let's get some repair material on here. See, I just want to start on this edge and start rolling this back and thinning it out. So let's go like this up on the edge, get that sucker trimmed out. You know, I haven't been sanding very long, but look how thin this plastic is already compared to this. You probably can't see it very well. That's all right. This is the thickness of our plastic. It's at least a 1/16 of an inch, and no tools necessary. Let's keep going. So you want to kind of hit the edge and bevel it down to kind of get that edge to roll so it's thin. And then you just kind of want to come above it. You do want to bevel these out at least like a 1/2 inch, because if you have it steep up here, this material isn't going to hold. You have to have it beveled out so it has more of a bed, a plane, a grab to hold. And the reason why we do it, I just want to tell you, because if you have an edge, you put repair material across this and you still have this edge, you've already put a crack inside your bumper. All it needs a little bit of twist. It doesn't matter what repair material you have across it, don't matter what kind of mesh, it will just crack all the way through. So you have, just like sharpening a knife, you have to sharpen your plastics, both sides, bevel it out at least a 1/2 inch back if you want repair material hold. Guess what? We don't need plastic heat promoter with this. You don't. It'll hold 24 hours. This shit will quit pinching back. It will after 24 hours. If you let it sit for 24 hours, that will not pinch back on you, the 36 grit. Clean up this edge. Look at this crack right here. We're gonna have to make sure, even if you've got a little tiny edge that's all the way back in here, it will split on you. Isn't this fun? You're just kind of going in and ruining a bumper to repair it. It's the funnest thing. And you're not fighting tools and having it melt your plastic. See? Just bevel it out. You're beveling that out. Oh, look at that big old crack. Look at that big old crack we have in there. Holy moly. So if you got a crack like that, you just get your edge of your sandpaper. You want to just run it down in the crack on each side and bevel that sucker out. God, this thing's just wanting to go. So if you see this, we're not afraid. Chase that split back. This really is, it does look like I'm putting in a lot of work, but if you use these tools, I'm going to show you up here. Up here, I'm going to repair this for you guys. I'm going to show you what those tools melt. How those tools melt, I mean. They melt the plastics. It's not very fun, but I got to show you how they screw up. They do it, and the reason why I went to this, it seems like I've got 27 years in this, and it seems like all my tools that I used to use, I just keep getting rid of them. This one I'll never get rid of. This is my mud hog. This was my go-to stripper after the aircraft stripper reformulated their stuff, and you couldn't put a whole gallon on a hood, watch it for an hour, bubble it up, scrape it off. I mean, you can't do that anymore. Even this is about the same amount of time to strip a hood as aircraft stripper. And you don't have to spend hundreds of gallons or hundreds of dollars on a gallon of aircraft stripper too. And so this got demoted. This, you know, I use my polisher for a lot of stuff. And you want to know what this mud hog replaced? Oh man, I used to have this really cool when I was like 21. I'm 40 now. I had this Hutchings freaking Hustler freaking, and I could trim up mud, and it was an orbital block that was air, and it would just sit there and swirl. It made the nicest stuff, but it was slow. It was really slow. I don't even have that anymore. So anyways, look at this. How are we gonna make something out of this? Oh, look at this. Look, it's split. It's falling off on me. Oh crap. Oh crap. Oh crap. Oh crap. How are we gonna fix that? Well, I know how we're gonna fix that. I went the other side and I made a template. Look at this. So you get here. That's going to be our shape. We're going to be able to put that back where it used to be. Oh, that thing's a mess. Oh man, that's a mess. Oh. Oh, it's barely holding on by a thread. Let's see if we can save this. You know, people are in the shop are saying, just throw that bumper away. What are you doing? Yeah, I know. That's why I picked this bumper to use, so I could train the world on how to do this stuff, because it was the perfect candidate, because it was just a freaking mess. So we're gonna go the back side, bevel it out just like we did here. We still got to bevel out this side. I'm gonna clean up this. God, someone has put glue or something in here to hold it together. I've got to trim all this out. I'm gonna come in here and trim all this out by hand, prep all this out. And then, yeah, we'll get ready for some repair material. But that's all you need. You don't need thousands of dollars worth of tools. You just need some 36 grit to fix your cracks and your plastic. If you have stuff that's out of shape, you do have to use your heat gun, you know, and work them out. So anyways, This is Chad at your daddy's garage with Blackjack Builds. I'm showing you outlaw ways that are gonna blow your mind. I'm gonna downsize your toolbox from huge to little, and you're gonna be doing high quality work, a lot better, less materials, less sandpaper, and you're gonna be competing with the pros once you get your skill level down. This is awesome crap. I've got 27 years. I was designed to cut the fluff out of the industry so I could be quicker, so I could spend less money, so I can get the highest quality out of I could possibly get. My father instilled that into me when I was 13 years old, got me looking ahead. What's fighting you? Why are we doing all these steps? Why is it costing so much? You know, and then you start getting these hybrids, little processes. You start taking away and adding and taking away. You get this hybrid system that no one's ever seen. And that's where we're at right now. I want to show the world I'm not supposed to be showing my secrets, but I want the whole world to know, because we need a lot of help in the industry. We have to evolve. We have to get done with them faster. We got to get our vehicles done faster. You know, our materials, as far as paint, they have skyrocketed. You know, they've gone like 3 to 4 to 5 times the amount that they used to be just within the last 5 years. And it's so hard to sell restorations nowadays, because I mean, a good restoration, just not even hardly doing jams, just the outside of stuff. I mean, you're $5,000 in paint nowadays. I've got ways, once we get into processes, I've got some secrets. I really do. Stay tuned, because your material bill is going to go down and the quality is going to stay the same, or even in some cases even better. But still, you know what candy colors are. All right, I'm done talking. I'm gonna go shut this camera off, and yeah, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe. I'm gonna help you guys out a lot in everything when it comes to restoring skins. I even do upholstery skins, so I have a lot of other ways too. You know, a lot of fabrications. We're gonna do rust repair patches, simple, and you guys are gonna freak out when it comes what I do after I'm done straightening my steel, and the process to get it up to where I'm painting. It's gonna blow your mind. It's gonna save you so much time. You're gonna be able to do your body filler work up into primer, your metal work, in a fraction of the time, and your costs are gonna be way low. Stay tuned. Stick around, please. Find out, because this industry needs help, a lot of help. I just had a comment the other day saying, "Oh, I'm so glad I found you. I was just about ready to throw 36 grit on and start grinding all my paint off just to strip my hood." He would have done that. He would have had to put body filler across the whole hood. You can't get those 36 grit scratches out of steel like that very easy at all. You use that to prep up for body fillers, and even on a lower part where you're putting body fillers, 36 grit, you still want to come out to the edge around your body, and you want to still feather that out to 80, so you don't have a transition from your body fillers pinching back in that 36 grit on a really thin surface up on the top. When you start getting to the top, you'll have big 36 grit scratches. You know, you use 80, you know, for that stuff. Anyways,